Hey, I wanted to share with you guys how I upgraded the dust collection on my bandsaw. This is a Grizzly 14-inch, pretty standard design across a whole bunch of different manufacturers. But this one is the G1019. It has a 6-inch riser on it and a couple other just minor modifications. I added the link belt thing, light, to really help. Some of the cool guide blocks, and I had to replace the bearing whenever I got it. I bought it used from a guy off Craigslist. It's been okay. It's not It's not awesome, but it is pretty good for what I use it for. I don't have a fence for it, which is one of the things I'll probably be making in the future. But the main thing that I wanted to share today was some upgrades that I made to the dust collection. When I first got it, it had an 1.5-inch port on it. That was pretty terrible, but I upgraded it to a 4-inch dust collection port, and I wanted to show everyone how I went about doing that without modifying the machine too much. So I'll show you what I did and then bring you in closer. This is the original prototype that I just kind of hacked together quickly. You can see just it wasn't the greatest. It was just held on by hot glue, but it was kind of just a prototype. It worked well in the sense that it got the dust port close to the blade, but it was not very beefy. The basic premise of this was it slipped in behind the trunnion. So if the trunnion's here, it kind of slipped in from the side, or from the front really. And yeah, I mean it worked okay, but it wasn't the greatest design. It was not, there was a couple points of places where it was not that sturdy. But it did help temporarily. This is the newer design, and you can already see that it's much sturdier, you know, it's beefy. Right, it's got some. It's not going to move whenever I connect the dust port, which was the downfall of the other one. It just snapped off. I mocked everything up with hot glue, and then whenever I had everything positioned, I came back and just popped everything off and just glued it up with wood glue and a couple brads. Some of the other pieces are still just held on with hot glue, but that's just to restrict the airflow, to help get the airflow as close to the blade as it can. This one actually slips on from the side, which gives me a little bit of play to adjust the guide blocks as needed. It also allows me to open the door if I need to, which is something that the other one didn't really allow me to do since it slipped on from that side. The kind of piece that I couldn't figure out on the first iteration was this bracket piece. This is just a piece of strapping, I think, that I pulled off of a shelf that the previous homeowners had put up. But basically I just bent it in at a 90 or close to a 90, and then drilled a slot in it. And what this slot allows me to do is put a bolt up through the bracket that holds the trunnion. There was a hole there, so I didn't have to modify my bandsaw at all, and this allows me to slide it in and out close to the blade, and still allowed to get to some of the guide blocks. So thought I'd just show everyone kind of what I came up with to help the sawdust on my old Grizzly bandsaw. Hopefully someone else sees this and it helps them out. So I wanted to bring you in closer to show you how my dust port now is connected. I have a tiny wing nut up here. I don't know if you can see that, it's pretty dark. But anyway, that secures it and allows me to fine adjust it in and out. It also helps me get to the guide blocks and bearings a little bit. You can see it's pretty sturdy. and I didn't have to drill into the cast iron housing, which I really didn't want to do. It works pretty well. It captures a lot of the dust. I wanted to get the port up close to the table, as close to the blade as I could. And if I turn it around, turn the camera around here a little bit, and point you kind of into the, you can see that the blade is like right in here. So the blade runs right up through, so it gets super close to the guide blocks and all of the dust that comes right off of the blade as it comes down through the table. So just to move it around a little bit more, I didn't worry about filling in all of the gaps. I just kind of did the best I could, but didn't try to worry about every little gap. You can see that there's going to be some airflow that gets in underneath here, but I think that's okay because the air is going to be moving horizontally across the teeth of the blade. Another modification I made was to drill a lot of holes here in the insert that goes into the table. This really helped pull a lot of the dust that was coming off the teeth and landing on the table. It really helps to suck all that dust down through the table and out through the port. Another thing I realized too was there's a tiny little pin here on this side, and what that does is it keeps this disc from rotating. So what I needed to do was hammer this up from below so that it would catch on this circular disc and keep it from rotating. The other thing I did was I applied some hot glue a couple spots around here and then pressed it into the table, and then really gave it a real snug fit so that it won't move, but it's not permanent where I can pop it out if I ever need to replace this. So yeah, that really seemed to help a lot. So that just about does it with the dust collection modifications that I made to my bandsaw. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll help do my best I can to answer any of those. If you like this video, found it useful, I'm planning on making a couple other videos about different shop modifications, tool modifications, projects that I'm working on, so stay tuned for those. And yeah, I'll see you later.